everybody, it's Stacie Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource, and not a great day for me. Toddlers, Hot Wheel cars, cold from the kiddo. But I'm at one of my vacant listings. It's professionally staged as something the seller wanted, and I wanted to talk to y'all about lighting and the color of lighting and how much that makes a difference. So this particular unit, it looks a little bit better on camera than it does in person as far as the lighting goes, but most of the natural light comes from these sliders in this room. Because it's an interior condo unit, there's no side windows. There's just the slider and then windows in each bedroom on the same east-facing wall. And so, because in condo complexes on, multi-level buildings, this is a ground floor unit and all of these are 4-level buildings. So given that it's east facing, there's a building across the street that's 4 levels, there's not a lot of direct light. Like there's practically 0 direct light. And then there is a really nice tree right in front, which is nice to have as soft light, but it is really dark when you first walk in. Dark is not typically our friend when we go to show property. So I wanted to show y'all the lighting, and that's something the seller knew, and so she wanted a lamp, so I wanted to bring a lamp. The stagers had some side lamps, but a lot of times the professional stagers, they're gonna put things where it makes sense to lay out the room because that's more important, but I don't have a floor outlet for those little side lamps, okay? So I have a wall outlet over here, so I had a floor lamp that I wanted to bring, and I grabbed these color changing lights, and I grabbed 100 watt because I want a lot more light in that corner than you would probably typically have there, just because there's no overhead fixtures or anything like that in this part of the room. So in the kitchen, you can see there's a lot of really nice recessed lighting. And here's where the color of lighting makes a difference. And sorry for the amateur setup. I have my phone sitting on the fireplace because you know me, all my stuff's in my car, and I don't bring photo gear because I'm not a photo person. So I wanted to show y'all how much of a difference, and sorry about the echo. I didn't bring the microphone. I actually have the microphone, but I didn't want to bother with it. So with a floor lamp, so 100 watt bulb makes a huge difference, okay? Which is nice because the 60 watt equivalent that I had in there was not terribly bright. This helps a lot. So, but this is a very yellow light. So these color changing lights, you can get whatever you want. Yes, they are a little bit more expensive, but for lamps and other fixtures that have a large shade, these were 10 bucks for the 2-pack at Home Depot. And this is September of 2022. I know inflation is crazy and the prices of everything have gone up. So, but for 5 bucks, I can change it from here and have different color tones on the light. So I recommend making sure the color tones or the color spectrum, the Kelvin values of your lights, are consistent throughout your property, or at the very least consistent by room and floor, because different color tones of lights will be very uncomfortable to the eye, and people won't know why they don't like it. They just won't like it. It'll feel kind of hodgepodge, it'll feel kind of mismatched, and they won't understand why. Very warm light tends to feel dated. Very cool light can feel modern, but can also feel like you're living in a bug zapper. And ask me how I know, because the first house that my husband and I rented together, the master bedroom was painted a baby blue, and then they had daylight bulbs, LED bulbs, well, CFLs when that was a thing, in the light, and it felt like our bedroom was a bug zapper because the light was so blue and the walls were blue and everything else was blue. So this is the daylight, and you can see it's very soft compared to the slider, and I know the lighting adjustment on my camera isn't great. I think that looks okay. However, on its own, it would be okay. But I've got a little bit softer, yellower light in the kitchen, and I've got some warmer wood tones. So I want to match the light color that's going to be in the rest of the space, because windows will always have daylight and people get that. So personally, if I were picking all the light fixtures, and I've done this in another one of my listings that I don't know if I put the video up. If I have, I'll link to it up here and down below, on the LED recess lights, and how I always recommend you pick the color change there as well, because depending on your paint color or your lighting situation or what other lights you're working with, it gives you the flexibility to make those changes while you are in the property versus making multiple trips to the store to go buy the right color light because you put it in and you're like, I don't know, that doesn't feel right, don't love it, okay? So in the kitchen, I do have not exactly matching color tones of light, but they're pretty close, and she didn't want to change those. So we're going to get this and adjust it accordingly. So that's the coolest, that's daylight. I like it, but it doesn't match a lot of this, and it does feel a little bit blue. And given this particular type of property, it's a senior community. Sometimes they tend to like softer light. My typical buyer will like softer light. So I'm going to go down one notch to the 4000K. and see how that looks. Let me see if I like the 3,500. I tend to roll in the 3,500, 4,000 range. Yeah, I like that a little better. It's a little bit softer. I also have a yellow linen shade that came with the lamp. Ideally, a little bit brighter shade will brighten that light too, but that softens some of my light, and then my wall color makes a difference. So, yeah, that's too blue. I think I'm gonna roll, that's 27. You see how yellow that is? Looks a little weird. It feels really dark, even though it's the same actual wattage. I think I'm gonna roll at 3,500K. So I like how that fits with the rest of the lighting in the space. A little bit more cohesive, brightens this corner. And then that one happens to be on a floor switch, and so it's really easy to come in and just tap it off. I could put a timer on it. I know she likes to come in and turn the lights on before showings anyway, so I'm going to make that as easy for her to do as possible. And then also in the bedroom, I'm gonna go plug in the lamps because the stagers were awesome. We put in some great lamps, but they didn't plug them in. So I'd like them to be plugged in so we can use them. So anyway, just my tip for today on the color spectrum of lighting. Spend a little bit of extra money, especially if you're doing any sort of like recess lighting or ceiling fans. A lot of the ceiling fans will have color spectrum options if you go with like not the base level cheapest Lowe's, Home Depot big box fan, but maybe one step up. Spend an extra $15 or $20 or so. And on the light bulbs, spend a little bit of extra money. I didn't do this on the fan bulbs because these obviously they take a little bit more height, like the bulb itself is larger, and that won't look good in the ceiling fan. So I got a couple options there. I went with the bright white because, like I said, not daylight, not soft white, kind of that middle of the road to give it a warm tone given the property. But I wanted to match everything else and look nice. So spend a little bit extra on your color changing because that way you can adjust the color once you put it in, and you can be like, yeah, this looks right, this feels right. It's really a feel thing because people don't notice why it doesn't feel good. Agents notice it because we go in and we see, well, like, okay, right away, you got a daylight, like a 400 or a 4,000K, and you got a 2,700K bulb, and they're right next to each other. It's gonna feel weird. I've actually had one client that preferred that. But my vision limited or my visibility limited clients, like my blind clients, depending on their level of limitation, the lighting is very offensive to them. And so I want to give options, and I want to know who my ideal client is and what to be aware of. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the color changing lights. Spend a little bit extra and save yourself a trip to the store. It's worth it, especially given the cost of gas right now. So anyway, if you're looking to buy or sell here in Denver, obviously reach out to me. I would love to help. I do this every day. I take great pride in how my properties present, and I want to think of my ideal client and keep those things in mind and make those recommendations to my clients as well of who's going to be the ideal buyer for that particular property. And what do they typically enjoy to see? And what's the feedback that I get, or things that may strike them as good or bad that no one else may realize, especially the cheap things like this that are super cheap and easy to fix and really quick. So feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is down below. If you need a me in another area, I can't clone myself. I've had people ask, especially again this morning, but I will do my best to find a good fit for you. I have a great network of agents. I think I'm up to like 270 agents across the US that I can refer business out to, that I pre-screen, that I interview, and that I qualify before I make recommendations. So link to that is down below as well. So thanks so much for the time and have a great day.